Ooh, what's up YouTube? I want to show you a new watch I got. It's a Seizenn G-Series. Immediately, you may recognize its design. It's based heavily on the Timex Q. And if you did not notice that right off the bat, their website is kind enough to tell you that. It also says it has an original design, which is strange to say the least. Anyway, the dimensions are similar to the Q, 38 millimeters across, 45 millimeter lug tip to lug tip. This is 13.6 millimeters thick, even though the website claims that it is 14 millimeters thick. The Timex has an acrylic crystal, this has hard Lex. The Timex has a quartz movement, this has a Seiko NH35, but the prices are similar. This was $136 after tax on AliExpress, whereas the Timex, I've seen them as low as $130 plus tax, so the price is basically the same, but this is a much better value because you're getting an NH35 rather than a quartz movement. You're also getting hard Lex instead of acrylic. I think acrylic fits the design of this watch better, but it's hard to make the argument that acrylic is superior to hard Lex. The bezel is a unidirectional click bezel, which is one other way I think that this is superior to the Timex. The Timex has a bidirectional friction bezel. This is a unidirectional click bezel. However, let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's 6 clicks to go to the next hash mark, which means it's a 72 click bezel. 72 clicks. Why would you do a 72 click bezel? Give me a 60 click, a 120 click, heck, even a 90 click, but a 72 click is just weird. You also notice that the bezel insert is misaligned. That bugs me, but whatever, not the end of the world. Finishing is quite good. Good mirror polishing on the case sides, brushed hooded lugs. And this is my favorite part. If you notice this kind of top part of the case, the corners, if you will, they're getting that rainbow shine. It's because it's a very, very fine radial brush finish. Let's zoom in a little bit. It looks like their tool bit was dull, or they're getting some chatter, because it's got this kind of tiger stripe thing going on. You can see it clearly there. I'm not saying it looks bad, but I don't think it was intentional. However, the finishing is very, very fine. It doesn't look brushed and it doesn't look polished. It's just this kind of cool in-between thing. And I really do like that feature. Dial is a nice matte blue color, and overall design looks influenced by the Timex Q, particularly the original design. I'm pleased to announce that the day wheel it came with is the Chinese one. A lot of the NH36s that I've gotten have either a French or Spanish day wheel, but I much prefer the Japanese or Chinese ones, or even the Arabic ones. But this one came with the Chinese one, which I like. I'm not going to move the hands to show you the printing underneath them, because I set this last night when I got it. We're almost a day later and it's still running dead on perfect. I'm saying, like, to the second, it is running absolutely perfectly. I'm gonna wear this for a week straight and see how much it deviates. But for it to be running dead on a day later is phenomenal. I'm happy if an NH36 runs 5 seconds fast a day, 7 seconds fast a day. To have it run 0 seconds fast a day is phenomenal. I must say the lume on this dial is probably the worst I've ever seen on any dial ever. If you charge it for like 10 seconds with a UV light, any other watch will be glowing like a torch. This thing still barely glows. Luckily, I don't care about that too much, but it makes you wonder, why would they go through all the effort to add any lume to have it be as bad as it is? If they had to charge an extra $2, $3, $4, $5 to have it be even semi-decent, like, I'm sure people would pay it. But overall, I think the dial design is killer. You may notice on their website, you can get the black dial with the Batman bezel, or you can get the blue dial with the Pepsi bezel, but I have the blue dial with the Batman bezel. When I ordered it, they sent me a message saying, hey, we're having quality control problems with our black dials. Is it okay if we send you a blue dial? I said, it's fine, send me whatever, but just make sure I get the stainless steel bracelet. So it arrived exactly as they said it would. One thing that has kind of been bugging me is the hands. I don't think the design of them is bad. I think the colors are cool, but it's the scale of them. I find the seconds hand just seems really large compared to the other hands. I think that the minutes hand is a little bit longer than it needs to be. Just something about the hands kind of bugs me. And given that I like to modify everything I own, I'm probably going to be replacing those at some point. I initially bought this with the plans of swapping out the dial and hands and bezel insert for something else. I'll get into later why I didn't. Onto the bracelet. 20mm lug width, tapers to 16mm at the clasp. It has polished center links and brushed outer links. They're these sort of half moon links. Kind of reminds me of the presidential Rolex bracelets, but the links are much smaller. It's very, very flexible. It's very, very light. It's very jangly. It's extremely comfortable. I like the bracelet quite a bit. The clasp, on the other hand, is pretty crappy. You notice it's got all this slop in it. It's the typical like 2-button stamp clasp, but just this slop is bad. Compare that to the clasp on a Laurier Neptune. It's the same design, but there's minimal play in there. Then again, this is $500 and this was $130, so you get what you pay for. I got another comparison clasp here. This is a steel dive clasp. Its slop is somewhere between the Laurier and the Seizenn, whatever. So I guess, you know, when it comes down to it, you get what you pay for, and you could always swap out the clasp. Another thing that bothers me about it is when I go to remove it, a lot of the time I have to press the buttons down a couple times to get it to come off. It just, see, like I'm pressing them as hard as I can and it's just not coming off. It's a crappy clasp, that's all there is to it. Another thing that kind of bugs me about the bracelet is I like to size my bracelets so that the inside of my wrist, the links there are shorter, and that kind of pulls the watch on this side of my wrist bone rather than having it ride up like that. And by having both sides the same length, the watch tends to like ride up on the wrist bone. Wait, did I do a wrist check? I don't think I did. This is the Woolman calendar. This is a weird decrepit watch that I got. I'll do a video about this some other day, but yeah, just anyway, there's the wrist check. So anyway, I do wish that they had a few more removable links on this side of the bracelet. The way that it's all sized right now, I have this as short as it can go, yet it still tends to want to ride up on my wrist bone like that. I wish I could explain it better. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the bracelet. I don't think I ever went over the packing materials, so let's get into that. It's actually interesting stuff in there. It's a Merkur branded case, fake carbon fiber, branded zipper. It's actually a pretty nice case. I don't have much use for these kind of travel cases because when I travel, I keep the watch on my wrist. It had a hang tag with some random kind of stuff on it. Like, I don't really care about that a whole lot. Came with the microfiber, always a nice touch. Can't have too many of those. Came with a warranty card, serial number MILAND. So the serial number is actually a word. I don't know if that's Milano or Myland, whatever. This is my favorite part, the warranty card. Just kind of talking about how it's a warranty, 24-month warranty. That is impressive until you flip it over and read the terms. Here's my favorite part. Non-warranty content. Watch case, dial, hands, glass, watch band, and crown of the watch are not in the scope of the warranty. So that leaves us with, what, the case back and the movement, which I think you could argue are part of the case. So the other thing is it says that the warranty certificate must include the name or stamp of authorized dealer, the date of the transaction, and the model of the watch. They left that blank. So I think it's pretty safe to say you don't really have a warranty, but it has an NH36 in it, so you don't need one. I guess another cool thing came with a spring bar tool. I love when companies include these because I use these for all kinds of stuff, and you always end up bending them at some point, so it's good to have a bunch of those. Now that we've gone over all of that, I want to show you one more cool thing, and I'm going to explain why I'm not modifying it. Here is a 28.5mm Seiko dial. Let's get it out of the bag. Standard Seiko dial size. You'll notice that from the distance from the edge of the date window to the edge of the dial is roughly the same as the height of the date window cutout itself. So what I mean is if you take this dimension and go that far out, that's going to take you to the edge of the dial. If you look here, it might be hard to tell because of the reflections, but to me it looks like this dial is just a little bit bigger than that. It might be 29.5 or 30 millimeters. So I don't think that the standard Seiko dial size is going to fit. The other reason why I'm hesitant to modify it is I don't know if I can get a bezel insert that is going to fit this. The closest size I could find is the 36.5 millimeter 4-digit Rolex style inserts. And again, I don't know if I'll be able to show you this on camera, but it's just a little bit too small, I think. Normally I just pop it out and see if it fits, but aluminum inserts bend when you remove them. If I remove this one and it gets bent on removal, I don't want to be stuck with no bezel insert. I want to show you this because I think it's really cool. I removed the case back earlier just to see if it is in fact an NH35. I was confident that it was because I've looked at those day and date windows enough to be able to tell what they're supposed to look like, but I want to show you this. Okay, check this out. There, well, the O-ring fell out, but this thing actually has a dual O-ring design. So it has an O-ring in the normal position that you'd see on like any other watch, but it also has this like funky little second O-ring holder. The threads on the case back fit between the two O-rings, and then that second interior O-ring seals against that groove. It's like a channel, really. I have never seen anything like that. I think it's overkill, but I like that they thought about it at least. I have been trying to remove this like interior channel thing to remove the movement, and I'm struggling with it. I can't figure out how it's attached, and with how expensive NH35s and 36s are these days, I don't want to take the risk of messing that up, but I think it's a cool design. So let me get this all put back together, and we'll throw it on the Timegrapher and see how it's doing, because even though it has been running great, I like to put stuff on the Timegrapher just to check out the amplitude and things like that. All right, so we got the Timegrapher going. Let's go ahead and change the lift angle to 53 degrees because that is what is needed for an NH36. Let's turn the speaker off. This thing's driving crazy. Amplitude is about 260. I guess you can't really see that. Let's include you too. It says it's 13 seconds a day fast, but it kind of takes a second to settle in. Beat error is 0.2 milliseconds, that's fine. 12 down, it runs a lot slower. Dial up, which makes sense. When you look at how gravity affects the balance, that's where positional variance comes from, and it makes sense that dial up is the fastest position. Although it isn't always, it often is. Let's go crown down, and you need to just kind of let it settle in for a minute to get an accurate reading. Yeah, so with crown down, it's running slow. 12 down, it's running pretty close to 0 seconds a day, and then dial up, it's like 14 seconds a day fast or whatever it was. So all those things somehow equal out, like kind of cancel each other out. When I'm just wearing it, it runs perfect. So yeah, positional variance is a weird thing. Anyway, that is I think all I really have to say about this Seizenn. This video went way longer than I thought it would, but I had a lot to say about it because I really like this watch. I'm gonna go ahead and take my Waldman calendar off. I'm gonna put this back on, and we'll see if it can continue to run this accurately over the next week or so. I'll put an update on this thing in my Waldman calendar video, just because if I'm sharing screen time with the Waldman in the Seizenn video, I should do the same the other way around. Anyway, I'm gonna shut up now. Thanks for watching.